Former Republican Representative Liz Cheney just had an amazing interview on ABC News where she talked about why she's endorsing Kamala Harris and voting for her, and also how Donald Trump is so dangerous for America. She articulated it really well, and I think it's something that every American should see. So I have some clips from this interview to show you. Donald Trump is certainly not going to be happy, but before I do so, make sure to subscribe to this channel. It goes a really long way. It allows me to bring this stuff to you. But anyway, without further ado, let's take a look at these clips, shall we? So here's the first clip I want to show you, and I think Liz Cheney's answer here is really important, especially for Republicans to hear. So let's just take a look at what she had to say.
Back in 2019, when she was running for the Democratic nomination, she took a range of positions. Medicare for all. She suggested she would favor abolishing ICE, decriminalizing illegal border crossings, a whole range of issues that she has now, apparently changed. Would you still have been able to endorse Kamala Harris if it was the Kamala Harris of 2019 and 2020?
Look, I think that she has changed in a number of very important ways on issues that matter. And I would encourage independents to look at where she is on these policy issues today. I would encourage independents to compare where she is today with where Donald Trump is on these issues. And so I think from a policy perspective, it is very important to recognize the change, to recognize that she understands that this election is going to require a coalition of people from across the political spectrum supporting her. And that also necessitates an understanding that you've got to govern for all of those people. And on top of all of that, the Republicans have nominated somebody who is depraved, somebody who shows us every day that he has tendencies and he's willing to embrace things that are fundamentally a danger to this nation and to our Constitution. So the choice, in my view, is not a close one.
So what I think we just witnessed there in that answer is a masterclass in political communication. And what I mean by that is that Liz Cheney knows that her job in the role of the Harris campaign, trying to get Kamala Harris elected, is not to appeal to liberals or people farther left in the Democratic Party. That's not her job. That's right. That's not her role. Her role, and where she's most useful, is appealing to independents and moderate Republicans who feel disenfranchised, moderate Republicans who are not happy with the current Republican Party, and these folks are true conservatives. That's who she speaks most effectively to. So what she does with this answer is says, look, Kamala Harris has evolved on a variety of policy positions and has gone closer to the center on a variety of these policy positions. Donald Trump, however, is far right on a lot of these policy positions. So I'd encourage independents and Republicans to look at where Harris actually stands and then look at where Donald Trump stands. And in this answer, she turns it back to Donald Trump and his insanity, his craziness, his far-right ideology. That was such a fantastic answer by Liz Cheney. Not only is it just great in a political communication sense, but she's also right. Like, just generally, Harris has better policy, more moderate policy, and she has a track record of reaching out to the other side of the aisle, Republicans, independents, Democrats. She works with everybody to get things done. Donald Trump does not have that record. So if people are interested in governing together, having a moderate government where, both sides are part of negotiations, Kamala Harris is your candidate. She is the person to be the next president of the United States. Donald Trump will not do that. He didn't even try his first time. The Biden-Harris administration have done that. They've made good on that promise and working across the aisle. And you can see that Kamala Harris's coalition is one that stretches to both sides, both parties, because Liz Cheney is voting for her. Dick Cheney is voting for her, along with a number of other former Republicans or even current Republicans. Look, and as she said at the end there, I also think that's an important point. The choice isn't even close. So the way that this question is framed is like, well, Kamala Harris has switched policy. And I don't mind Karl Rove. I think he's a good journalist. But, Kamala Harris has switched policy. Could you justify voting for that policy? It's like, hold on now. This choice is not a hard one. We have one candidate that stands up for democracy, one candidate that doesn't. That right there, in and of itself, is enough for people, or should be enough for people, to say, you know what? I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris. You may not agree with her 100% on the policy, but at least she stands up for democracy. So that was just the first clip I want to show you. This next one I want to talk about with you is also incredibly important for a number of reasons, which we'll talk about in just a second. But let's take a look at what Liz Cheney had to say here.
There were a lot of talk during the primaries of the Nikki Haley voters, and some states seemed like even when she stopped running, almost a third of Republican voters were looking for an alternative to Trump and voting for Nikki Haley. She's now saying that she is, quote, on standby to campaign for Donald Trump to help him get reelected. She's also, of course, called him unhinged, unqualified to be president, diminished. What do you make of Nikki Haley's position on that?
I mean, I can't understand her position on this in any kind of a principled way. I think that, the things that she said, that she made clear when she was running in the primary, those things are true. And again, those of us who are conservative, those of us who believe in fidelity to the Constitution, have a responsibility and have a duty to recognize this is not about partisan politics. And the country is going to need to rebuild true conservative movement when we're through this election cycle. But this November, casting a vote for Donald Trump or writing someone in means that you've made the decision in too many instances that so many elected Republicans have made, which is to abandon the Constitution, to tell yourself that this is just simply, a partisan choice. That's not what we're facing this time around.
By the way, are you still a Republican?
I'm a conservative.
Really amazing answer. And that exchange at the end there, that just quick question, are you a Republican? No, I'm a conservative, is also a crucial distinction to make nowadays, that there are fundamentally people on the other side of the aisle who are conservative. But Donald Trump's not conservative. He is no longer the Republican Party that was your father's Republican Party, or even the Republican Party of 20, 30 years ago. But I say that Liz Cheney's answer here is so important for one main reason. She's actually applying pressure to Republicans, right? It would be one thing for her to go on ABC News and say, yeah, like I'm voting for Kamala Harris, because of X, Y, and Z, but everybody else has their own ability to do whatever they want, right? That's kind of like okay, that's a nice endorsement, and you're voting for her. That's great. You're voicing support. That's fine. But it doesn't go that extra mile. What Liz Cheney is saying here is, I'm a Republican. I'm voting for Kamala Harris, and other Republicans should too. Because if you don't, then you are allowing somebody, or at least, and maybe even write somebody in. If you vote for Trump or you're writing somebody in, you are allowing this man to rise to power. You are allowing somebody who doesn't care about the Constitution of the United States, who has advocated for terminating parts of the Constitution of the United States, to get into power. That's what it is. That's that little pressure that Liz Cheney is putting on Republicans. And that's an important pressure to put on, to say, hey, look, she's a lifelong Republican. She said earlier in this interview in a different clip that she's been voting for Republicans for 40 years. Not once in her life has she voted for a Democrat in any office, not state, not federal, whatever. Never. But now she's making that jump. Why? Constitutional reasons, democracy reasons, moral reasons. And voicing that support, but also saying, hey, my fellow Republicans, let's just, come on, push you along to get you on the same side as me, really important. And I would also describe this answer as another masterclass in political communication. I disagree with Liz Cheney on virtually every single policy. When it comes to policy she voted against in Congress, she voted against Biden's infrastructure bill, the Inflation Reduction Act, a number of policies that Biden put forward, the American Rescue Plan even when he first got into office. But we agree, Liz Cheney and I, and I'm sure that you agree with Liz Cheney, that democracy is more important than any policy that I advocate for or she advocates for. We are truly seeing a remarkable bipartisan coalition in the Harris campaign and a remarkably isolated coalition in the Trump campaign. Like, Harris has all of these former Republicans, current Republicans, independents, Democrats in her camp, on her side of the aisle, that will be voting for her. Whereas Donald Trump has the same old, the people who have always supported him, the cult, his advisors, many of them who have been in and out of jail in recent years. That's the Trump coalition. So Harris is welcoming of everybody. Trump is welcoming only of people who swear loyalty to him. And that could be his fatal downfall in this election. So I love what Liz Cheney had to say in this interview. I hope she does more interviews to speak to the people that, she speaks best to, the people we talked about earlier, the moderate Republicans, the independents, because that can sway the election. So anyway, I will leave the video there. Just wanted to show you these clips. Make sure to subscribe down below. It really helps the channel. Also drop a like on the video and comment. Let me know what you think about all of this. And as I always say, I greatly appreciate you, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.